Ryan Eakins here again for Eschatology Matters. If you haven't liked or subscribed to us, please help us out with that on our YouTube channel. You can also join Eschatology Matters for a small fee and get early access to content or even access to extra content. And then if you haven't checked out our website, please do so at eschatologymatters.org. Not long ago here on the channel, we had the privilege of interviewing Dr. Sam Waldron from Covenant Baptist Theological Seminary down in Owensboro, Kentucky. We've also scheduled to have Dr. Waldron back on the channel in early 2024. And as a side note, Covenant Baptist Theological Seminary is hosting their annual conference, which is entitled CovCon, in March of 2024 in Louisville, Kentucky. And it's on the topic of optimistic amillennialism. And some of the speakers include Dr. Waldron, Joel Beakey, and Vodi Balkan. Dr. Waldron, as he mentioned when he was with us, is also working on another eschatology book as he tries to kind of bring some of his work in eschatology together into one work. I am currently in the process of rereading Dr. Waldron's book, The End Times Made Simple, published back in 2003, I believe. In chapter 2 of this book, Waldron does a quick overview of the similarities and differences between dispensationalism, historic premillennialism, amillennialism, and postmillennialism. And then he spends some time explaining where dispensationalism falls short. Today, we're going to move ahead and look at chapter 3 in this book on the topic of interpretation. So if you've ever read all the way through Scripture, maybe you've used a Bible reading plan that takes you through the Bible in a year, but whatever the case, if you read all the way through Scripture, there are a number of prophetic passages that raise our curiosity level. Passages that might cause us to think extensively about possible meaning or what the correct interpretation might be. But unfortunately, sometimes these passages can also lead to some confusion for the reader. Dr. Waldron points out 3 very important principles of biblical interpretation that are needed to guide us and help us avoid confusion when it comes to the study of eschatology. Dr. Waldron calls these self-evident principles. The first principle is that we should study clear passages before we come to difficult passages. Interpret the difficult in light of the clear. The second principle is that we should study literal passages before we come to figurative passages. Literal passages set the boundaries for the figurative. The third principle is that general truths of eschatology should be grasped before we dive into the details. Clarity is achieved by understanding the overall structure of prophecy first. So, the clear before the difficult, the literal before the figurative, and the general before the detailed. We must also recognizing that when we apply these 3 principles, eschatology is not only prevalent in what are considered to be the prophetic books of the Bible, but prophecy is found throughout Scripture, and as we saw in our last video, eschatology cannot be separated from the gospel. We see this confessed in the Great Reformed confessions and the creeds throughout church history, both before and after the Reformation. Dr. Waldron writes, "One purpose of this study is to help you come to a clearer grasp of the Bible's teaching as a whole by providing you with a systematic understanding of its teaching about eschatology." This does not mean that we will never have questions or that we'll never struggle to understand some of the things that we read in Scripture. But God has revealed and made clear everything we need to know Him and to follow his commands. So if you haven't done so yet, I would encourage you to get a copy of this work from Dr. Waldron. Thank you for watching today, and we'll see you next time.
Seated here at my right hand, the Lord to my Lord did command.